And welcome back.
Welcome back to One Hit High Points
with Travis
Mars.
and Cream. All right. So welcome back, Hi Mars.
How's it going, everyone? We're back for another episode, even though it's like
Mars, get your
I guess it's been somewhat consistent now.
Yeah, we've been pretty good. You know, I think we had 3 episodes last week. We had one a couple days ago, and then hopefully this will, get out.
It's like
soon. It's weird of kind of talking about we're talking about podcasts are kind of in the past, but at the same time we're streaming this, so it's kind of like, are we talking about tomorrow or are we talking about today? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that it's interesting that for me to just be able to want to even speak or record anything is not necessarily because I feel like I have to, or that it's like, oh God, we just have to record an episode now. It's more that there's just a lot of great things that I feel like you and I talk about in the moment, and it's one of those things where maybe you could be random stuff. Yeah, but maybe it could be just like we're walking or whatever, maybe driving at the gym, randomly get these thoughts. It doesn't always mean that we just take a hit and we have these great in-depth conversations, but these conversations happen between us so much that in a weird, I guess, way that it's kind of like my way of being able to trace back to these conversations one day and remember what I thought.
It's almost kind of like journaling.
Yeah.
But we're kind of both speaking our minds because we overthink all the time. So it's a way to kind of express and have that dialogue and conversation that gets very deep. And I think it's just, then we started thinking, we're having all these deep conversations, you might as well record them and stream them and see if others might relate to them. And I think that's more the premise of where we're at today.
Yeah, it's like open dialogue for anyone to just join in or get out or do whatever you want. I mean, I think it's that this is the most important thing that you can do amongst humanity is to be able to have free speech and just connect with as many people as you can. And even if there's opposing ideals or, I guess irrational rhetoric or whatever it may be, it doesn't matter what the circumstances are. I just believe free speech at all costs. I know that that's a very controversial
a lot of people
opinion,
are afraid to speak about it, or not about it, but anything.
But why?
Because society forces us into some type of
I'd
fear
rather
of it,
know what the fuck someone really means and thinks and feels and know my enemy rather than be friends with someone who's making me their token friend. I mean, we can just reference back to just, again, what's going on in Gaza and the current genocide. I feel like I'm a token Palestinian friend to so many people through this, since October 7th to now. I mean, I've been literally crying on social media for years about what's been going on in Gaza and the West Bank. I can't even tell you, it's just been not part of my personality, but it's me. I cannot continue. Hey, Mars, you feel the same way? They have so many cats in Gaza. All those Palestinian kids, they love cats. I love you. So for those who are not witnessing the visuals here, Mars, our cat, is literally just sitting. Okay, all right. You can be right here with me for this episode. So pretty much, what I was saying was that, there's so much going on currently, and it makes me feel like everyone has pretend amnesia because it's convenient. I've been sharing what's been going on with Palestine for so many years, and all my friends were privy to this and knew this, and I'm not shitting on any of my friends specifically. I'm just more in a general sense that everyone does the whole silent hush hush. I agree with you. The world is evil. It is what it is. And it's no, it's not. It is what it is for me because I have family there. This is my actual ethnicity. It's being murdered in real time. It doesn't matter what walk of life it is. I'd still be just as outraged as I am for the people in Sudan, Yemen, Armenia. There's so many people suffering throughout the world throughout these mass tragedies and horrors that are still happening. They're outdated horrors. That doesn't make sense. I think that's why people are so fixated on what's happening in Gaza, because it's the most documented war, conflict, genocide that you'd ever see or have ever seen. And with other things, you were able to have less questioning because back then it was not so broadcasted. Social media wasn't really a prominent tool that people used to get their media from. So you never really got to see the horrors. I'm sure there was just as horrific, if not worse, scenarios back then, but we're now in the modern era where we're supposed to be more evolved, more progressive, more,
And things were more controlled and more
Yeah,
filtered. And
yeah.
it is really what I think you're saying is, and then kind of looking at,
I need this sip real quick.
kind of like with what's going on with the possible ban of like TikTok. Is that really more than just a little cybersecurity issue? Is it really more a suppression of like speech from a younger generation or those type of things where it can be now more controlled? And
You know what's funny? We went into this conversation today thinking we were going to have one topic, but now I think the topic that is actually more important to talk about. See, this is why I love a podcast, just the ability to see where your mind wanders to and whatever. Anyway, so this can now be about free speech and censorship and why we're seeing censorship in such a blatant way now.
yeah,
They're not even hiding that they want censorship. It's almost like our government, because we obviously live in America, love this country, but I'm not proud of where our country's headed, and I haven't been for a long time. But to see like our government get mad at a foreign government for somehow having influence on us when everything that we literally use for the most part, all of our technology, like suits, cars, whatever you name it. I mean, I said suits, which is not technology, but you know what I mean. A lot of our products are from China.
your little tuxedo over there,
Yeah, but every product that we pretty much use is from China in some way, shape, or form. So like, why are we gonna just somehow shit on this piece of software when we use their cars, we have their phones? If they were gonna steal information, they would have, and I'm sure they have, and I'm sure that Meta, who's an American run, um, you know, software, social media company,
yeah,
powerhouse, whatever you want to call it, they steal
they
our
have just
information.
as
How many
much
times do you
evil.
get
Yeah.
emails of saying, "Oh, your information has potentially been hacked or stolen or whatever it is"? Like, please. So it's like the American government's like, "Oh, we don't want you to control our people and use propaganda. We want to control them and use propaganda." Like, that's how I'm seeing it, and it's sad because
Well, the other sad part of it is
how many
that
people have jobs on TikTok?
like you look at these not these, but you look at the TikTok bill that went through, and the only thing that's being talked about is TikTok being banned, but no one is really talking about the other pieces like inside the bill itself, or more of like how they have like emergency powers to kind of go after social media. Some other pieces, something about warrants. I don't know all the details, but there's other pieces under there that's more the suppression of the speech. So maybe actually China like is stealing stuff from TikTok, but they're using that to
Uh,
China.
I'm
Um,
dead.
but no, they're using TikTok banned and hiding behind that to get the controversy out
For
there
those people who
and
just didn't know what
hiding.
happened, the glow man light behind us went out, so that's what he said. It was just like a funny moment.
Yeah, but no, but they're using TikTok as a disguise on more power that they're issuing to the federal government.
Like, it's just so clear as day to me, like that the American government doesn't even care about lying to us and hiding the truth from us, and there's still so many unequivocal idiots in this country who still stand for the government as if it's the patriotic thing to do. No, it's not. No, it's not. To be a patriot, to be a person who's proud to be an American in this country, is to make sure that you're abiding by the amendments to some fucking goddamn degree. I mean, you see the way our government is now, and it's so contradictory of so many things that are happening. It's the most unconstitutional
Whatever.
like times that I've ever been in America, and since I've been alive. Like, to see, and I'm sure every generation can talk about horrible things that's happened throughout their generations, but yeah, that's a system of shock and traumatize, mass psychosis. You become malleable, you become a sheep herd mentality tribalist. That's what they do. This is how they destroy you. So the best thing to do when you are really trying to navigate all these mass like movements and pandemics and whatever the fuck shit they come up with, these plans that they've had in motion for a long time, you're over here like blindly supporting a side when you should really be taking a step back and seeing like, how does this affect everyone generally, not just myself? Take your own head out of your fucking ass and ask yourself, how does this affect everyone? Because yes, you're also on this earth with everyone, right? Everything is a ripple effect. If you don't think big movements like this is not going to affect you, you're a fucking moron, and you deserve to fucking then be a sheep, then finds your time to get slaughtered by the system, because that's eventually what's going to happen if you continue to be ignorant.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, and I'm not saying anyone to, to be a radicalist in any specific sense. I'm just saying to just find your humanity, be able to challenge certain narratives, like certain status quo narratives. Like, why is it that so many people are incessant on focusing on like wars and picking sides and being a nationalist and trying to say like we're the superior this, we're the superior that, and then go under the guise of but we're defending ourselves, we're protecting ourselves. Like you see all these superpowers, and it's all the same evil rhetoric of trying to somehow promote war. And then you think about why they're promoting war, and it's the elites, the 1% that are profiting, while all of us, the civilians, are essentially just funding it, paying for it like clowns, while we're out here struggling in our own right. And it's
Well, it's oftentimes I wonder if we actually like do have freedom, like because we're just a part of the system providing to something for us to provide.
But what is true freedom? Define what freedom means to you, because I do believe that we're freer than most countries.
Yeah.
I mean, than every country in the
sure.
world. And I will be very grateful to be a human being alive and you know being born into this world. And at least I got lucky enough to be a born American, and I could not be more grateful for that. However, but when you really think about what freedom means, isn't freedom kind of like a state of mind? Like that's how I see it, because there are so many systems still in place that
Maybe freedom is actually peace.
no, I think freedom is a state of mind. And I say that because I think when you realize how spiritual and how, like, I guess,
Fulfilled or
innate that it is to have this psyche, this human psyche that can think wild things and can try to piece things together and have theories and have faith and hope. When you have all these different elements, the mind can pretty much transcend, excuse me, can pretty much transcend, like, wherever the hell you are. It can take you out of the present moment, and you can become more free in your creativity, your imagination, your will to life. But when you live by a system, when you live by all these systems that tell you, like, you know, preschool, kindergarten, first, you know, elementary school, middle school, high school, college, the job, you know, eventually you get the 401k, the pension, whatever the fuck bullshit, and you live off that, social security shit, and that's it. But what is true freedom? That's why I'm saying I think
you see a lot of people grow up and they get all of those things. You know, you see a lot of elderly people, you know, grandparents and parents and
that was long
you
winded.
know, things like that where they achieve all of that. You know, they get the house, they get the family, or they get like whatever makes them happy. And there's
Right.
nothing wrong with whatever option they choose. But there's a lot of people that aren't even happy.
Right.
And is that and what you're saying is more of like the true
They could be
freedom.
happy doing it. I'm not,
true-
who's to say? I don't know if they're happy or not.
Yeah. But I'm getting at is that most of the time when all of it goes away and retirement comes, are they truly happy or are they truly free? And my guess is no, because they're trapped in their mind because they haven't.
I mean, that's a different perspective, and that's a different type of trapping. I mean, you kind of just became like a devil's advocate to my own point, which is like, couldn't you still be trapped in your own mind? It's like freedom isn't. I mean, but that's still freedom is a state of mind. I think that still applies to it because.
But that's what I'm saying is that you freedom and satisfaction is kind of where I'm kind of drawing the line across it.
Actually, you kind of hit the nail on the head of probably how I feel about my own sense of freedom. I think I torture myself more than the system does. Or actually, maybe the system is what allowed me to torture myself. Yeah, that's what I'll take. I'll see that route. The system definitely gave me some shit.
Well, the system itself trains you up, you know, from elementary school on, as in, you know, here's your career, and then they start throwing numbers at you.
You know what's actually crazy?
Like, I remember in freshman year in high school, they made you take this little, not freshman, it was 8th grade or something, where they made you take this career test or something where it's kind of like, and they made you take this little quiz, and all of a sudden it's like, you should be a doctor, or you should be this, and it said estimated salary, and they started throwing numbers in front of kids at the age of 7th and 8th grade because they're kind of molding them into the system is really what was happening.
Meanwhile, I was like, I just want to do whatever the fuck I want. That is not like obviously wrong, like, or evil. Like, I want to do whatever the fuck I want, as in, like, if I want to try this job or that job or this job, like, I don't know how some people stay with jobs for like more than a couple years. I would lose my mind doing the same thing every day. I mean, I think that's why they say do something you love, and that's great. But I'm one of those people that, like, I have voracious curiosity for everything and anything. I constantly want to see what, you know, that smells like, tastes like, feels like.
Yeah.
That
some
experience.
people just need jobs that challenge them, and you know, and there's always being presented problems and be able to resolve those problems.
That's
and
a good
that
way
and
to,
that's
like,
the
stay
satisfaction
motivated.
within the job itself. Is people are just their minds are overthinking, or they're to a higher standard,
Right. Yeah.
and so they just need to be challenged, because that's all it is that they're looking for, is a little challenge and a little problem to solve.
So you're
And that could
basically
be
speaking from experience, I guess.
a little bit. It's like yes, as in I like solving problems and I like challenges, and when I'm faced challenges, I enjoy doing it. But
Get in a
that
Rubik's Cube, a new one every single day at your desk, and have a field day.
yeah.
Just kidding. Um,
But no, but back to like I think TikTok and free speech
I was
is
gonna actually say something really quick, a real quick point. I actually realized that the systems that in which I trap myself or torture myself where I don't feel free in my mind is not actually by the systems that are like necessarily the tangible, understandable, like could be like specifically reference
mm-hmm.
systems. It's more the system of like humanity in itself. There's a lot of wicked, sinister ways in which humanity has been maybe tainted or is just woven within our DNA. I don't know. I mean, obviously, I know we're sinful by nature, blah blah blah. But I think that there are certain like I don't know how to explain it. There's certain aspects of being alive that is what drives me to this sense of feeling like trapped. Like I almost don't know how to like process certain traumas in a way that like I can always process but never quite just process it enough. I always like get to really close and then I almost like refrain from going back to it for a while because I'm like it's too much to handle like trying to unpack it so I can go through it.
Yeah.
I'll process like little moments at a time and then I just like put it in the back catalog and like don't even look at it for a while and then it comes up again and it's almost like I leave an arsenal of self-torture like that's the system in which I keep myself almost trapped. And that's why I said freedom truly is a state of mind. Because if I was able to get out of that and I can truly live in the fullest present moment possible, knowing how short life is,
But
and without fear, I would believe that I was truly
but I
living
think some of those
free.
traumas that you're trying to process is that where it's failing of the processing is I'm sorry, I'm stumbling on the words here as always. It is trying to find that freedom or that peace with that trauma.
Right.
And that's what you're looking for is that kind of going back to freedom and that peace of mind of and that's not necessarily in that you're forgetting it or that it's not going to be as hurtful but just come to like some reason with it like you're looking for just a little bit of a reason I think of why something happened and unfortunately there's cases where I don't think that ever comes so then it's more of how do you how are you able to, and I hate to say it, like move on, or how are you able to take that trauma and kind of move forward? And I think that's what you're looking for. Not to get personal,
No, yeah, of
but
course. I mean, I brought it up.
it's
So, no, I brought up the fact that like their traumas are my cage. My traumas are my cage. I'm sure there's I mean there are millions of people that feel the exact same way. So it's not like I'm like oh like this isn't an integral part of humanity or the human experience. I get that, and I'm very aware of what it feels like to be a human being that is aware of how suffering is very vital to our overall humanity, our faith, our like ability to even function because you have to process suffering, you have to go through suffering, you have to understand suffering, you have to like understand why it's so important to what it means to be a person because if you live this life feeling like the world owes you something and to be a good person means that you should expect something, no, you're a good person to break the vicious cycle for the people that you operate around just to like not be an asshole and also just to know that it will come back at you at some point. I mean that's just how the weird scientific, spiritual, religious, whatever way it does come back to you. I mean, you don't even have to be a religious or a spiritual person to understand. Certain coincidences are based off of like energy we put out, and even scientifically,
it's
like I always said,
karma. Like
energy
it's just
can I be crazy right? So
yeah, it's just karma. Things come back, and I think that the other the root or the solution of everything is I think just being able to openly and being freely to speak about the traumas and that's the best way of healing is just not to continue to talk about it where it becomes a broken record thing but just getting those emotions and that and all of that out because it's not good for any one of us. I do it for myself. I spent many years where I kept all my emotions and everything else so bottled up and no one knew anything about me, family, everything like that. I just kept everything in because I was hiding whatever. I don't know what I was hiding, but it's trauma. And then as soon as I started talking about all of it, it was good.
Right.
Because all of a sudden I was able to reason and try to find some rationale for something or whatever to make sense of it, and that took a lot of years. And it's not overnight, and I just encourage anyone that has trauma bottled up is find someone that you can confide
Who
in
did
and
you
talk
speak to
about.
about it?
Friends. Once I started like confiding into some close friends, it's like those are the ones where like that started the cycle of talking and getting you out. And I never went to any type of professional therapy or anything like that. It's just more of just like
Yeah, so it's just kind of
openly and talking about and trusting
like your
someone.
average experience of your initiating your adulthood into trusting people, and that's just a very natural response to anyone that you believe is close enough to just unload all of that trauma to. And
And it wasn't unloaded all at once.
of
It's over
course,
the years,
yeah.
and it was um just people not prying, but asking the right questions in the right moment. And once you get comfortable enough, you start opening your mouth and you start talking. But a lot of people in this world just is told, forget about it, keep your mouth shut, and
Hmm.
they bottle it all up, and then people become miserable. And then that's where it goes back to. I think that you had to find people that we trust and that we talk to, and it could just be one person. It doesn't have to be a group of people.
Yeah, I think that when it comes to trauma and being able to trust the right people, that's definitely a very, very, very important thing, because your traumas can be used against you and it could come back to haunt you, weaponized against you, whatever it may be. So that's a whole like another like subcategory of trauma, is like that, like from the source, is like you have that, and then you have the cord of trauma that is now attached to another individual because they can now use that trauma against you, and that becomes like another super weapon, like your kryptonite almost, because obviously as anyone who's dealt
Yeah,
with
because
trauma,
you
you
become
know
very
that
vulnerable.
anyone who's dealt with trauma, you know that you cannot, sometimes you cannot even like rationalize yourself, even like you black out. Like there's some traumas that people deal with that just they black out. They don't even know what happens because it triggered a response in them. And that's what's so scary about traumas, and that's why it's so vital to like, or important, whatever, to like discover what that trauma means to you, and like how you can actually like use it to your advantage or process it or whatever it is, because you do not want yourself to not be yourself because of the trauma. Because if you do black out or you do have these like really scary tendencies, you have to work on it. You have to make sure that those are the things that you're, really putting effort into. And I definitely can speak from experience that that's the reason why I really just want positive influences around me, good experiences, healthy, wholesome moments, the things that would basically allow me to stem further away from feeling as though I'm not paying attention to my traumas, and that I'm using some type of distraction to justify, like, I guess, like not going to it and saying, "Oh, I don't need to," because I know the inevitable is going to happen. It's building up, and that's not going to be good for that one day that I do eventually break down and like freaking cry my eyes out. Like, because you see it sometimes. You'll see me like cry about certain things and have those little moments, but those are healthy little moments. And if I don't do that, it will probably be like a whole like shaking.
And that's why I think it's important to not allow it to get to the point where you get to that breaking down point, or not even breaking down, like emotionally crying, but even like the anger bottled up and like attacking, like verbally, like anything like that. Like,
That's
not,
why I said don't
not
don't
that
talk to
any
your
of that.
friends. Like this is another thing I wanted to say, is like a point is don't tell everyone your traumas. Don't tell your like any friend your traumas. I really believe, and I know this sounds like probably a weird piece of advice. I really think that if you have family that you could trust, first and foremost, at least to some degree. I don't know how everyone's family operates. I know for my family, it's like it's unconditional love to the day we die. So I feel like family first, and anything that's really bothering you, or any traumas you want to unload. The second I would say is honestly a truly unbiased, like maybe a person you don't know. And maybe you're not going to see them often, or you probably will never see them again. But sometimes you get the best advice from those people because they have nothing to lose. They're just telling you what they actually really believe and feel. And sometimes that's the best advice you can get. Do not tell anybody and everybody your traumas or business, because the moment you do that, like I really think, and again, not saying I completely speak from experience here, I just trust maybe sometimes the wrong people, but they'll do exactly what someone has done to you, maybe I'm speaking more from like a friendship trauma or a relationship trauma. Otherwise, like no one's out here killing my mom. She's already dead. So,
Yeah,
but
you're just talking
like
about more
often,
of
like we're
like
doing it
if you
like
tell everyone
routinely.
if you tell everyone your business,
Well,
they're going to use it as ammunition back towards you in some situation.
so censor yourself, but don't let the government censor you. You know what I mean, man?
Yeah,
Like
freedom of speech.
that's how I tied it in. Censor your motherfucking self. Okay, some of you should censor
Be
yourself
your own filter.
from your be your own filter from your own ignorances. Okay, like do your fucking research, read, study, learn. Don't pick sides without doing. First of all, I don't even believe in a sides thing. I think there's a one overall truth, and that's the side of or that's the stance of humanity. That's how you should approach everything in life, is with the purest form of humanity. Take yourself out of this nationalist, flag waving, tribalist, like just obsessed with whatever identity you think you have based off land. It's beautiful to some degree as an aspect of you, but if it's your identity and you need to like unequivocally stand for whatever the fuck your side does, nah, like I'm sorry. This is the reason why I say in this country I'm so proud to be an American, and that's it. Like I'm not saying I'm a Democrat, Republican, or any of that. I'm my own person. I have my own thoughts. I think my own things. They can sometimes align with the left, or they can align with the right, or what the fuck ever. And I think if we can encourage more of that type of way of thinking, it's actually funny. We would be more united as a country rather than you know, because it's right now it's really divide and conquer with whatever party has the better ideas, and we'll take over this side and we'll be in the power this time around. It's like, no, how about as Americans we're all like, wait, you know, like I can find more common ground with you than not, so therefore like I don't need to be on either side to pick a side. Like you're my neighbor, like what the fuck do we need to do to make it better for us? All right, I don't quite agree with that, but this may actually help us in the long haul, or vice versa, whatever. That's what the fuck is what's up. That is the true, like, ultimate form of being an American, in my opinion, is working with your neighbor. You're here in the same country. Why would you want to make it a miserable place for each other? I wish our government cared more about all of our neighborhoods, all of our cities. Okay. And then I also wish our government would be sticking to anything they would say that is even remotely coming out of their mouths that sounds like they're human. Okay. Because right now, everything they're doing is quite fucking evil. And censorship is one, in my opinion, the ultimate evil, because people can't even say we're dying. You're silencing the people's ability to even say, "Hey, we're being silenced," or "Hey, we're being killed."
Mm-hmm.
There's no greater evil. Silencing the evil is the greatest evil, because at least it can't. They won't even allow you to fight it. They won't even allow you to know about it unless you do know, and you now can really know because it's the most blatant it's ever been. So really, no one has an excuse. So censor yourself if you're an idiot. If you're willing to do the work, hey, speak, you know, from the heart, and speak what you believe is right. And if you feel like you know, fucked up and someone's willing to educate you, like maybe just take it in what they're saying. If they're insulting you the entire time, then don't, because that's obviously a sad attempt at trying to connect with you and
also just have the conversation
make
with
your
the
point.
person that is having the differing opinion with you, and just not necessarily like make sure that you're not like aggressively attacking someone either. You know, just more of like have those calm conversations with people that are different, and not be but also just filter yourself when you're stupid.
Listen, I made
And
a
stay
lot
out
of
my
those
speech.
aggressive, like I would have conversations with people where they like go into my profile and like pick up a random picture, and then they'll like comment on like something of the picture that's trying to hurt me visually, like, oh, like why did you pose like a pinup girl? I'm like, how did and someone said out today on like Facebook when they were like, oh, you pose really good for a lady boy, just like a pinup girl. And I was just like, there's not even one picture of my entire body on my Facebook profile pictures that he had access to, except me literally putting my knee or my elbow on my knee and putting my hand up like this, leaning over like a bench in Miami, shirtless. I guess that's kind of pinup. Fuck that, I'll take it. I'm not a lady boy though, but I'll take the pinup. It's kind of cool actually. But yeah, he tried to insult me, and I was like, at the very end, I was like, man, like, this is the reason why conversations like this always end up bad, because instead of like agreeing to disagree kind of thing, you just go for like a jugular type moment, and then at that point it makes me just feel like I wasted my time with someone who really was never going to listen to me ever.
Which really tells you if someone's coming at you just more just insulting you and has nothing to do with the conversation, really just means...
But it's worse at the end. It's worse at the end. If you exchange so much with someone, just think about how much more you've exchanged with that stranger than any other stranger in the world. Like, you now have a connection with that person based off of your exchange conversation. I know that impressions don't mean shit when it's like an add-on on fucking Facebook or Instagram or whatever. But if this is like an actual person who's behind this and it's not a bot, and you're exchanging enough information and ideas and experiences and opinions, whatever the fuck, you know, going for those comments to like really hurt someone and really sticking in it at the end is the definition of like everything you just said just was discredited, because it just meant you were holding that in, you were waiting to use it. Like that's the kind of person you are. You get ready to get vicious, like you're letting out your anger online because that's your way of getting off, or that's your way of unloading your shit onto other people. Do better. Censor yourself if you're going to say something ignorant, unless you do research and you really feel like you've done enough to say what you're saying. Be open-minded to being educated, and just don't insult people for the sake of winning an argument. Because honestly, when you let that person insult you and you don't insult them back, I truly believe they're always going to end up losing in that moment, because they're still going to feel like, damn, I didn't get the reaction I wanted. I didn't get to like get nasty with someone.
Yeah.
So, these topics were all over the place today, but I guess the overall message is just
stay out of my speech.
What we've always said: just be open-minded and be pro-human, and free Palestine.
Good night.
Bye.